Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Shacknews at E3 2019, powered by HyperX, SubNation, Respawn, all those good folks. I'm Donovan Erskine. I'm here with James from Survios VR. How you doing, James?
What's up, Donovan? How you doing, man?
Not much. I'm doing pretty well. And we're going to talk about a couple of games that you guys showed to us yesterday. We've got The Walking Dead Onslaught and Battle Week.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I actually got a chance to play both of these games yesterday. I want to start with The Walking Dead Onslaught.
Absolutely.
So both of these are VR titles. First game, as the name alludes, is set in the world of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And keeping up with this immersion of it being set in the world of The Walking Dead, you guys actually worked alongside AMC to make this game come to life. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. We're super excited for this Walking Dead Onslaught title that we're coming out. It's built off of years of R&D and research into building really exciting close quarters combat. So this is a survival action combat experience. And we're super lucky to get to work with AMC on the writing of this story. It's a whole custom story built into the later seasons of the show that takes place over a 7-part campaign. And you actually get to play as the characters from the show. So we have the top 4 most popular characters. We have Rick, we have Daryl, we have Michonne, and Carol. And we are working with the talent as well from the show to make this happen. So we're super, super stoked.
Yes. And so when I went hands-on yesterday, hopping into the VR, one of the first things that kind of took me aback was the locomotion you guys have designed for this game where, some VR titles are you click around, you teleport, or you just move the analog stick and it kind of pushes you forward, kind of breaks the immersion. But in Walking Dead, you just swing your arms like you would walking down the street and your character just propels forward. Can you talk about that innovation there?
Absolutely. So the locomotion in Walking Dead Onslaught is actually built off of our fluid locomotion system, which we originally built for our second title called Sprint Vector. That was almost like a Mario Kart racing meets parkour climbing kind of experience. So there's a lot of intense and exciting locomotion in that. And the way fluid locomotion works is you actually hold down any of the buttons, depending on how the button mapping works. You actually swing your arms almost kind of like skating or cross-country skiing. What's really interesting about this technique is it gives the user total agency over their movement. And you actually feel like you're walking very comfortably in a virtual environment without having to dash teleport or do any kind of other locomotion mechanics that might break that immersion for you. What it's actually doing is it's actually combining a lot of smoothing algorithms based on your motion data. And based on where you're moving and where you're looking, it's actually averaging and predicting a direction for you ahead of time. So it's actually pushing you in your intended direction. That's a subsystem we call intended motion. So we built a version of this technology specifically for Walking Dead Onslaught, so you can actually use ranged weapons and melee weapons while simultaneously locomoting freely about a world, and it feels really good.
Yeah, I've got to say it's probably one of the best forms of locomotion I've seen in VR. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
Keeping with The Walking Dead, I want to talk about the zombies themselves and how you interact with them. So one of the things you guys kind of emphasized to me was how every part of the zombie is kind of fully defined and tangible. So, you hit them with a sword, you can chop off their hand, you can chop them off at the elbow or the shoulder. You can, like you said, draw the mark of Zorro into them if you choose. What did it take to kind of make all of that happen when designing the zombies?
Well, we knew we wanted to make a really visceral and exciting close quarters experience with walkers. We've seen a lot of amazing zombie games out there, and there's some really cool things you can do, but a lot of times we were just noticing it's fairly point and shoot, and there's not a lot of detailed or advanced melee experience happening, so we wanted to focus on the melee technology first. So we built this system called the Progressive Dismemberment System, and there's several subsystems to this. The first one you mentioned, that's actually delimbing, so you can chop off any joint at any point along any limb, as well as decapitation. There's also a impaling system that utilizes context-based physics. So if you're swinging a katana, you could actually, depending on the angle of your velocity and the speed of your velocity, you could actually cut all the way through it, or it'll cut into a zombie and get stuck and lodged, and you actually have to brace yourself against the walker and pull your katana out. So you have full impaling capability, and that can also turn into slicing based on the context of the physics happening in that interaction. The third subsystem is actually carving. So we built this proprietary gore mesh around all of our walkers that's highly optimized. So you can actually, like you said, you can carve a Zorro Z in their chest. It'll actually reveal all the gory bits underneath. You can carve their face, whatever works. You're going to see the endoskeleton. You're going to see all the guts pour out. It's super visceral, and it's right up in your face. this is something that we wanted to really emphasize because the show brings a lot of that kind of combat on screen. We wanted to bring that into an immersive environment as well.
Gotcha. Thank you. So I want to hop over to Battle Wake.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a pirate game. Got some more fantasy elements in there. Do you want to just give our audiences a gist of what Battle Wake is?
Absolutely. So Battle Wake is our next original IP after Raw Data, Sprint Vector, and Electronauts. This is our next big foray into building our own custom intellectual property. This is a pirate fantasy adventure, so we're not doing pirate sim. We have a lot of amazing weapons, like fore, aft, and broadside weapons. But on top of that, we are actually building these fantastical pirate lords, these pirates of legend, that have all these insane ultimates and power-ups that you can do. So you can actually summon a kraken out of the water and destroy ships and armadas with tentacles. You can summon a mighty maelstrom, actually gets all the ships flying in the air and getting sucked down into a whirlpool. There's tsunamis, there's all these different spike maneuvers. You can shoot spikes out of the water. It's insane. There's a whole bunch of things you can do.
Gotcha.
So this is a really exciting adventure in the fact that we actually have many different ways you can play this title. There's three modes.
Yes.
The primary mode is going to be a 20-part campaign mode that you can actually play across all 4 heroes. The second mode is a warfare mode. This is PvE, and you can do up to 4-player co-op with warfare, and that's more of an objective-based dynamic missions that are proceduralized for near infinite replayability. Our third mode is Plunder. That's a PvP mode where you can have up to 10 players facing off in this epic pirate battle on the open seas. And of course, this game takes place across 4 sweeping environments in the world of New Earth. We're super excited about the story we've crafted with this. Everywhere from the Arctic regions of the Lubin Expanse to the Caribbean environments. We also have subterranean environments where you go down to the Totec Mire and these jungle subterranean areas, as well as deep beneath the earth, in the Ashen Ring, there's a big volcano where the secret city of Shambhala is hidden, and that's where the goal of all these pirates are trying to go plunder the city of Shambhala. So there's a real interesting story we've integrated into all these missions, and we're super, super excited to get feedback from it.
Gotcha. And for the record, I got to summon a kraken out of the ocean. It was pretty awesome. Just to let you know. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
So something about Battle Wake that I thought was really fascinating was the water and how the water is reactive and how it responds to the movements of your boat and everything that you and everything else in the water is doing. What does that do for gameplay?
Yeah, so there's a whole reactive water system that we've built into this. So every time a tentacle comes out of the ground or a comet flies out of the sky or a boss boat spawns out of the water, there's shock waves. There's also a lot of different types of weather. So you can have extremely highly pitched waves. So at one moment it could be flat and the storm could come in and now you're really high pitched. So you could be fighting an enemy armada way up here while you're fighting down here. The tides also change over time as well. So when the tide lowers, the layout becomes more diverse and changes over time. So there's a lot of things that happen with water that switches up the gameplay. And a big thing for us is we wanted to eliminate nausea, both from a sim sickness standpoint and a sea sickness standpoint, because you are on the open seas. So we built our immersive vehicle technology specifically to solve this problem. This is the first time we've built vehicle-based combat in VR, and we're really, really stoked to see how this actually solves for simulator sickness in an innovative way. Specifically for us, with the immersive vehicles, we actually limit the axes of movement for the boat. We actually keep you full upright, full vertical the whole time. We also apply smoothing algorithms anytime there's a sharp angular change. If you crash into something or another boat wrecks into you or you get jettisoned up into the air by an ultimate, we're actually applying smoothing algorithms to make it as comfortable an experience as possible, in addition to like peripheral effects like vignetting and wind and all these types of little VR tricks we do to make nausea go away.
Gotcha. So can you tell our audiences when these 2 games will be available and on what platforms?
Absolutely. So Battle Wake is coming out later this summer. It's going to be on all platforms, on console and PC. So we've announced for Rift and Vive and PlayStation VR. And then Walking Dead Onslaught is going to be coming out later this fall.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, James, for joining us today. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks so much, E3. You guys rock.
Yep. Shacknews at E3 2019. Brought to you by SubNation, HyperX, Respawn, all those great folks. Stay right with us. We'll be back with more interviews shortly.